noon sun blazed white over the Caribbean, turning the Anguilla Channel into a sheet of molten silver. The Vengeance, a black-hulled brig with ragged sails, cut through the swell like a shark. On her deck, Captain Elias Dregg stood with his boots braced and his spyglass fixed on the horizon. He saw her, a two-masted ship with a proud white ensign snapping in the wind. The polished brass cannons and immaculate rigging marked her for what she was. Royal Navy. "Signal from the mainmast, Captain," shouted Mr. Cutter, his first mate. "She's hoisting for us to heave to." Dregg lowered the glass. The British ship, HMS Resolute, was bigger, faster, and twice as heavily armed. The Vengeance's crew of 40 were half-drunk cutthroats, armed with a mix of stolen muskets, sabres, and whatever pistols they could keep dry. Against the Resolute's drilled marines and broadside, they didn't stand a chance in a straight fight, which was why Dregg wasn't going to fight straight. "Hard to starboard," he barked. "Run us between the reefs. Let's see if His Majesty's captain knows these waters as well as I do." The helmsman spun the wheel. The Vengeance heeled over, spray lashing the deck. Beneath them, coral heads flashed in the clear water like teeth. On the Resolute's quarterdeck, Captain Adrian Holt watched the pirate brig make her turn. He was young, but his jaw was cut from stone. "They're running for the shoals," his lieutenant warned. "Then we follow," Holt said coldly. "Beat to quarters." The first cannon fired from the Resolute, a warning shot. It screamed overhead and punched a geyser from the sea. Dregg didn't flinch. "They'll be on us inside 5 minutes, Captain," Cutter muttered. "Good," Dregg said, eyes never leaving the British ship. "That's when we spring the trap." By the time the Resolute closed to 300 yards, the air was thick with the smell of tar, powder and salt. British drums pounded, the call to arms echoing over the waves. "Helm, steady," Dregg shouted. He waited until the Resolute's bow began to swing broadside for a volley. "Now! Hard to port!" The Vengeance swung sharply. At that exact moment the British fired. The broadside thundered, but the cannonballs slammed into the water short of the mark, missing entirely. Before Holt could order reload, Dregg gave the word. "Fire!" The pirate brig's 9 guns erupted. Chain shots screamed through the air, slashing into the Resolute's foremast rigging. Sails ripped free, lines whipped through the air like deadly snakes. "Reload and brace!" Dregg shouted. The Resolute returned fire, and this time their aim was true. Iron tore through the Vengeance's hull. Splinters exploded from the gunnels. A cannonball smashed into the main deck, throwing 2 pirates into the sea. "Captain, she's turning to rake us!" Cutter yelled. Dregg's mind raced. If Holt got behind them, the Vengeance would be shredded. He looked to the reefs. They were 30 yards away. The water boiled over hidden coral heads. A mad idea took hold. "Run us straight for the reef," Dregg ordered. Cutter stared at him. "That's suicide." "Do it," Dregg snapped. The pirates obeyed. The Vengeance hurtled toward the surf. Holt, realizing too late, ordered the Resolute to hold back, but her momentum carried her forward. At the last possible second, Dregg spun the wheel hard and cut across a narrow channel no more than twice the ship's width. The Vengeance scraped through, hull grinding against coral but holding. The Resolute tried to follow. A deafening crack echoed across the water. Her keel slammed the reef, grinding her to a halt. She listed, pinned in place. The pirates roared in triumph, but Holt wasn't beaten yet. Even as the Resolute shuddered against the reef, Holt ordered his longboats into the water. Marines in scarlet coats began rowing hard toward the Vengeance. Dregg's smile faded. The longboats were fast, and once those redcoats were aboard, it would be steel against steel. He turned to Cutter. Load muskets and grenades. They want a boarding fight. They'll get one. As the Marines closed the distance, the Vengeance's deck became a storm of powder smoke and shouted curses. Pistols cracked. Muskets roared. Men fell screaming into the water. Then Holt himself leapt from the lead boat, sabre in hand, landing on the pirate deck with a flash of steel. Dreg met Holt's blade in a shower of sparks. The two captains drove each other back across the deck, boots slipping in the blood-slick planks. Around them, pirates and Marines crashed together in brutal knots of steel and smoke. As their swords locked, Holt twisted, forcing Dreg toward the rail. Dreg caught the faintest shift of movement behind the Navy captain. Two Marines breaking through the pirate line, muskets levelled at Dreg's chest. Both triggers squeezed. The twin flares of the muskets lit Holt's face for an instant. Dreg wrenched himself sideways, dragging Holt into the line of fire. The first ball slammed into Holt's shoulder, spinning him to the deck. The second tore through Dreg's coat, scorching his ribs. Dreg kicked Holt's sword away, but the deck was already swarming with more redcoats. Cutter's voice bellowed from the forecastle. Fall back to the quarterdeck. The pirates formed a ragged line, firing pistols and hurling belaying pins as the Marines advanced in perfect step. The Resolute, still grounded on the reef, had shifted her broadside just enough to unleash another volley. The Vengeance shuddered as iron punched through her flank, splitting planks and spraying seawater into the hold. "Captain, we can't hold," Cutter shouted. Dreg's eyes darted to the reef channel they'd come through earlier. The tide was dropping. Soon it would be too shallow for escape. "Helm, hard about," Dreg yelled. "We're running for open water." Cutter's face twisted. "With them on board?" Dreg grinned through the blood on his teeth. "Then we'll take them with us." The helm spun. The Vengeance heeled sharply, throwing men, pirate and Marine alike, off balance. Dreg ducked a sabre slash, shoved his attacker overboard, and grabbed a fallen pistol. He fired at the Resolute's longboat still tethered to the pirate hull. The ball hit a powder keg left from loading. Flames raced along the tarred rope before the boats erupted in a fireball, sending burning debris into the sea. The Marines faltered. Pirates roared and pressed them back, using cutlasses and boarding pikes to drive them toward the rail. One Marine lunged for Dreg's throat. Dreg smashed the butt of his pistol into the man's jaw, sending him overboard into the reef. "Captain," the helmsman cried, "we'll clear the shoals if we catch the wind." A last British broadside raked across the stern, splintering the taffrail. Shrapnel slashed Dreg's leg, and he nearly went down. Cutter grabbed him by the coat and hauled him upright. The sails snapped full, wind screaming in the rigging. The Vengeance shot through the reef channel, grazing coral with a sound like tearing metal. Behind them, the Resolute was still trapped, her Marines stranded or floundering in the surf. As Anguilla's low green coast slid astern, Dreg slumped against the rail, blood soaking his boot. Cutter looked at him. "You'll live. Maybe." Dreg managed a thin smile. "Aye, long enough to make them regret letting me." The Vengeance, battered and smoking, vanished toward the open Caribbean, leaving behind a crippled British frigate and a sea full of floating dead. But Dreg knew it wasn't victory, only a reprieve. The Royal Navy would come again, and next time he might not see the horizon.